lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and with me today is another dope indie cartoonist. I have David Brouwers, who is probably one of my favorite artists to come up that I've met through this group. I mean, dude, you are everything you do is absolutely killing it. Your fucking sketch covers you do, your cover you did for Wizard was my introduction to your work, and then you did image grade design, obviously. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show, dude.
Well, I sure appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Oh yeah, dude. I ask everybody the first time they're on the show, share a little bit about yourself, how you got into comic books and, how you kind of turned that into wanting to work on comics or your art professionally.
Yeah, I don't have a first comic story. My dad's a big collector, so there was always comic books around. And my mom's an art instructor, was an art instructor and an art teacher. So there was always drawing tables and art supplies around, and I just was drawing since I was a kid, like earliest memories kind of stuff. Yeah, I ended up, I wanted to be a comic artist as a kid. I would show my portfolio off as a kid, and even really young, I showed my stuff to Todd way back in the day when he still lived up here. And I was probably like 8 or 9. And I ended up going to Alberta College of Art after high school. And that's really when the comic market was really at a low. So there wasn't a lot of work out there. And I know a bunch of local guys that are in the industry, and they were having a really hard time finding work. Like, I want to name drop like Carrie Nord and like Riley Rosmo. And they just weren't even finding work. And so I ended up becoming an electrician after art school, and always was drawing and always submitting stuff. Ended up doing design work over the years. Like I've done some sport logo stuff and some skateboard design stuff. That's actually what I'm working on right now. But always was showing my portfolios off, going through portfolio reviews and trying to get it and just what can I do better. And life goes on, got married. I've got God gave me 2 great stepkids, and but I was always just drawn. I've played in bands and stuff like that too, but it was always like keep new portfolio for the next show I can show somebody. And got little things here and there, like little indie pinups and indie covers, but nothing too substantial. And then, about 3 years ago, dude, I had 2 strokes and a heart attack. And I kind of had to reevaluate. Yeah, I had to reevaluate what I want to do with the rest of my life. So it's been full tilt boogie since then of like, let's just try to make a career transition here.
Damn, dude, that's fucking crazy. Yeah, you're fucking like super talented. I mean, like, I think like, okay, like image grade design, for example, right? I've talked to a couple people, and we've all agreed that you easily could have been like with image back then. You know what I mean? Like the level of detail in your work, the level of craftsmanship in your work is just, it's insane. And like when I reached out to you and I was like, do you have any comics? And you're like, no, nothing really in print. I was baffled, because like you're so talented that I believe you should have a project. I know you're working on something with Craig CK. I know that not too much of the details are kind of public knowledge yet, but before we talk about that, because I do want to touch a little bit on that, who are some of your biggest influences artistically? I mean, you talk about like going up to Todd and showing him your work as a kid, but who would you say were like the most influential in terms of where you're like, man, I want to draw also?
Like, I don't have a first comic story, but I do remember the first time I saw Arthur Adams' work as a kid, and I was blown away. Like I was probably 6 or something, and I just it's when I could finally tell, like, I like this guy, man. And so I got obsessed with him. But you change as you go on, grow older. Like I used to be an Arthur Adams clone. Like I used to just try to draw exactly like him. And but then you find other influences and stuff, and inside and outside of comics. Always looking for, you can sometimes learn more from looking at worse stuff. You know what I mean? I mean worse stuff, but like what don't you like about something was a big indicator for me of like, okay, I'll make sure I don't do that. You know what I mean? and Liefeld's a bad example because I love Liefeld's work, but that's the kind of learning lesson of, you're like, I like so much of this, but what would I change? Like, what is not, as you grow older, it's like, what doesn't do it for me anymore? Found a lot of guys like Travis Charis, I saw him grow so quickly. And I said it before, but a local guy here that actually gave me like my first scripts over the years and gave me a lot of good advice was Kerry Nord. And his stuff, like from when he broke into what he is now, the master that he is now, it's inspiring, it's humbling. But I don't know, you know a guy named Karl Koplinski? He does like Warhammer stuff and a bunch of stuff, but he's just an amazing artist. I tried to like pick him apart of like, how are you doing that so quick and so good? And like, what do you not need in an underlying drawing, and what do you need before he goes, because he goes right into inks. I spent a long time in the pencils, right? But yeah, so just trying to get quicker, trying to get better always. But I also like, I got some interesting portfolio review stories because it's a wide spectrum of people looking at it, right? When you're showing different artists, like I'm a huge Pete Bagg fan, and when I met him at a con, and his stuff's really simple because I had drawn nothing like him, obviously, but really cartoony stuff, but I love it. And I met him at a con, and I just like, you know, I'm figuring like he's classically trained art and he just draws this way for, you know, for kicks or whatever. And he is a good artist. I've seen some other stuff, but I showed him my work, and he was the nicest guy I've ever met, man. And he was just like so complimentary. And but it's funny because at the end of it, he just kept going, wow, this is good, wow. And then he goes, you know, Wallace Portasio's here. I'm like, what am I going to do with that information, Pete? You know, like, go wait and what you know, what's that going to wait in his signing line that he's not going to have time to talk about anyways. But yeah, Pete Bagg was a nice guy. And then, it was the kind of thing of like, I knew what he meant, but that's like, I thought, I don't draw like Marvel house style. But that's what he's seeing in it or something like this. I don't know. I'm too much in my head, but I've got some bad portfolio reviews too. And that did, you know, once you kind of lick your wounds, you take more out of that than anything. I always big proprietor, like get thick skin so you can get better. And you know, unless somebody's out for like outwardly trying to discourage you, you know, they're usually trying to tell you what they're not liking about your work. So it's like you can't really argue with it. So it's, especially if you're showing somebody that you really admire.
What was some of the like critiques that you've gotten from people you've shown their portfolio that maybe at the time kind of like was like, oh, like kind of a knife to the gut at first, but then after you kind of like let that soak in, you're like, okay, I see what they're saying, like let me adapt that, pull that in, and put it into practice?
Well, luckily I kind of hung around some artists that were in the industry that picked my stuff apart really early when I thought I was really good, and I had to get humble real quick. There's another guy who went to Alberta College of Art with me. He's ahead of me, but you know Kari Andrews?
Yes, dude. I fucking love Kari Andrews, and he's like one of my favorite artists. I'm actually talking to him at the end of the month, so.
Yo, nice. Tell him I don't remember me, but tell him to say hi. Well, I'll tell you a story. I went through my high school walkthrough to like see the college you want to go to or this and that with my parents. And I went to Alberta College of Art, and they had like a gallery that day and stuff like this. And there was a show up here. I think you guys had it in the States too, on Sci-Fi, but it was called the Anti-Gravity Room. Anyways, it just was like insider comic stuff and like interviews with Kevin Smith and Arthur Adams and things like this. But they went and they followed some kid around a Toronto Comic Con, and it was Kerry Andrews, and showing his portfolio, trying to get work. And then when I went through my Alberta College of Art walkthrough, I saw him there in the halls. And I walked up to him and I'm like, are you Kerry Andrews? And he's like, how the hell do you know that? And I'm like, because he's just a student. Right? And I'm like, I saw you on the Anti-Gravity Room and blah, blah. He's like, holy moly. Hung out with him for I think he brought me to his car or his locker or whatever. And he had a sample X-Men script he gave me. But yeah, and then Kerry Nord too was like, they're like, you know, no problem putting tracing paper right over your drawing and be like, don't do that, do this. How come you don't foreshorten anything? watch your line weight here, this kind of stuff. I also did correspondence through Joe Kubert School of Cartooning. So those guys, they don't know you for nothing, and they're only trying to tell you what you did wrong. So it's every assignment's just that tracing paper come back to you in the mail, and it's everything you did wrong. And next assignment, don't do that again. That was some probably, you get leaps and bounds that way.
I mean, I love both. I love Kerry Nord too. I think Kerry Nord I discovered when he was doing the Conan book at Dark Horse with Kurt Busiek. Like that shit was just phenomenal. That was like, I think that might have been my first Conan comics that I read, actually, because I never was super into Conan, but Kerry Nord just absolutely killed it. And he kind of had like he kind of leaned into like the Frazetta vibe too, the way he was illustrating the book, which I really dug because I'm a huge Frazetta fan.
Yeah, dude. He actually, well, he used to give me his old Daredevil scripts, and that's what my first like sequential, not my first sequential stuff, but my first trying to get serious about portfolio and sequential work was his old Daredevil scripts.
So what was your first sequential, printed work that you ever did?
I have this right here. My first sequential work won me a Spawn mobile. I entered a contest. I have a newspaper clipping of it. But I entered a contest that Todd judged, and I ended up winning a Spawn mobile. And that was, first sequential stuff, and it was like printed in the paper and stuff like that. But like, I know that's probably not what you meant. I've done sequential stuff in ads, like for ads. I've never done sequential pages and printed. I have a ton of them for like portfolio reviews, but other than image grand design, that's something recent that had sequential in it. But yeah, not too much. A lot of pinup cover work, stuff like this mostly. But I have a ton of sequentials that I not published. I'm also working on a book right now that I kind of had to put on hold for a little bit last year, but I'm almost finished it now. But it's called War Party, and it'll be out real soon too. But it's probably my best sequentials I've ever done. Really happy about it.
And is that all you, or you paired up with somebody that's writing?
Yeah, well, I was working with a writer on. Well, I had the idea, and I'm like, there's a local writer here that's has his own little print house and puts out a bunch of books, and tried to work it out that way. Still am kind of, but I had to pull the trigger and like I gotta finish this, and it's, I'm not gonna go back and forth with. I'm the one drawing, so it's my own thing. So it's easier that way. He's a great writer, but it would just work better, I think, with. I kind of just cut my ties with that and just said, yeah, I'm going to do it myself here.
Well, nice, dude. Like I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see some fucking pages by you that I can like kind of pour over,
Penciled right now. I'm just getting into the inks, but I'm working on a couple other projects, and my commission lists always come first. So anyone pops at me for a commission, I kind of try to get it knocked out. But it should be out, I want to say before the fall or during the fall, but it's definitely going to be out this year.
What's the avenue in terms of the way it's going to be distributed? Are you doing Kickstarter? Are you doing you're just going to self-publish and then like
those are all questions I'm going to have to ask myself for sure.
Okay.
I just have to get it done first, and then I'll figure it out. I've had a couple people approach me, but like that, I said, anything you want to do, I'll put it out and we'll work something else out. But yeah, hopefully get it most eyes on it, right? That's the goal. So whatever the best way to do that, I have to consult some people, man.
Yeah, dude. And I'd love to be help be a part of like whatever press and stuff, and kind of help get the word out there once you do have some concrete stuff in terms of promoting. I'll definitely be there to help. So like I said, your wizard cover that you did for the, with Eli, that was my first intro to your work. Then you've also done, stuff with the Ms. Grand design. So I was kind of curious, how did you become a part of the group, right? Like, how did that all come to be? And then how did the relationships build to where like you were a part of that project, you were part of Ms. Grand design, and then after that, we'll talk about like how you and Craig CK kind of hooked up to work on this other projects you got going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, a big Ed Piskor fan, obviously, man. And that's another thing I gotta say is like, he's pretty good about like he'll share when my commission list is open and stuff. And I get requests that day more than I get in the month before. And so he's amazing. I'm a huge Ed Piskor fan when he finally did when they launched the Cartoonist Kayfabe show on YouTube. You know, I was down since the first episode. Wasn't too long after there was a Facebook group, Ringside Seats, and back when it was relatively small, a lot of us just got acquainted pretty early. You got acquainted with Eli and started the wizard thing. I was the first, like, I just hit him up and said, "Hey man, can I do the cover?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He'd seen my work before on like other groups, I think on a Ninja Turtle group and however else he saw it. But so yeah, I did that. And with the image thing, in that wizard, there's a image grand design ad done by Michael Kemp. I like everyone has a different version. I think how, you know, because I think in the back of our mind we were all thinking about as soon as they gave the pitch for the image grand design on the show, and then Michael Kemp did that ad and the wizard thing. I think got everyone's brains going. So I think the first person I hit Michael up and I said, "Hey man, I want to do a fake cover for this. Can I use your logo?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And I think right at that time, Jerome was doing stuff. It was in everyone's kind of head, right? So Jerome got the ball rolling, and then it seemed like it was an avalanche after that. And I don't think I ever asked to do the cover because I was just doing a fake one just for kicks. And I think, yeah, I just got kind of nominated that, which I was happy for. I was petitioned for it anyways, but because yeah, this is a letter of love for sure. I was a huge Image comic in that case as a kid. So yeah, I got hooked up and started these Zoom meetings with these guys, working the story out and everything, and get to know them real quick, especially when it's late night Zoom meetings and the drinks are flowing and stuff like this.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think you killed it on the cover. I mean, the entire book, I've said it to everybody that I've interviewed and talked to about the book, like the energy that comes out of that book, like it's like it's coming off the pages, and it starts with that cover, that dope fucking cover that you did. Like, I know that a lot of guys have said that, you know, like 2020 was a fucking shit year. Like I know how it was in LA where I'm from. You know, I have a friend that lives in Quebec, so like she told me like they like it was constantly getting locked down over there, like more so than we were here. So, and then the guys in the group also were saying like for some of them it kind of saved them. It kind of gave a positive thing in such a shit year. So I was wondering, what was your experience like on the book, and what did it mean to you to be a part of that?
Well, I think that everyone who was in those Zoom meetings, they're probably spitting out their coffee right now when you just asked that question, because I had a pretty shitty year, man. I don't really get too much into it, but I went through a separation. I sold my house. I sold my grand piano, all my stuff, and move, and in the midst of all that. So yeah, it was the thing at the end of the day where I was looking forward to hopping on with Zooms and just drawing away, get rid of my problems after work, stuff like that. Yeah, everyone, you know, everyone had some different experience what they were going through, I'm sure. I know some people had really good years in spite of all. And my homie Ben Grandoff had a little baby. He does pages in the book. He colored the wizard cover. It was definitely really good for my mental health, and I tried to put everything I could into it. That's why I put off War Party for last year, because I was just going through some of the stuff I had to get taken care of. Yeah, it was definitely a mental health exercise, I would say, because it was, you know, when you're dealing with 20 people, and this thing I think had 50 people in total, right? And I didn't have to deal with it. Big ups on Eli and Rocco, man, for having to like put it, like, you know, make some decisions and stuff. But you know, everyone's got their opinion. No, and you know, people butt heads or something. I mean, but it's at the end of the day, it's comic books, and I think everyone had a big level of respect for everyone, and the group that it is, and the little family that we kind of made, it felt like. So yeah, it was a really positive experience by the end of it. And I'm working with a couple of these guys on other things too, and there's things being tossed around. I know, you know, there's that 1963 project coming up. I gotta pin up in or something, doing something. And yeah, I got to know one of my best friends, Craig CK, man. He's you had him on your show. He's a cool dude. He's a tattoo artist from Canada here. I bonded with him big time over this. I bonded with a lot of guys over this, like Rick Lopez, who we've had on the show here, and Eli Shaw, who we've had on the show as well. But yeah, like a lot of these guys, man, you get to know and form some really lifelong friendships. So that was really cool to, as an adult, meeting new friends.
Yeah, for sure. So, you say you got really close to Craig CK. You're working, and like you said, I did chat with him, and we both share a mutual love for, Rob Liefeld and the work that he does, and the Robservations podcast, which is probably my favorite podcast to listen to. Every week it comes out, every episode I listen to it. And you guys are working on a project about Rob Liefeld. Now he's drawing the pages and you're drawing what would be Liefeld's art, which I think is absolutely fucking amazing that idea even came to be. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit about the project, and then like I should have asked you first, but I was going to ask you too, like, what were some of the image books that really stood out to you, the creators that you really, the characters and the creators that you really were attached to back then?
Well, like when I met Todd as a kid, man, he was the nicest guy I ever met, and he was such a hero to me. He wasn't even Amazing Spider-Man Todd yet, but he took the time with me. He let me sit behind his table. He looked at my little drawings. Keep it up, gave me the keep it up, bud, and all this kind of stuff. I sat with him for like 20. So he made a fan out of me for life. And so like I was obsessed with everything he did. Of course, when Image started, it was all the rest of the guys I liked at that time, Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, and even Silvestri and Waltz Potasio and stuff. I was obsessed with their stuff at that age. I'm gonna think I was 10 or something when Image started.
Okay.
So pretty formidable years, though. You know what I mean? So you're just soaking that up. But yeah, I bought it all. I bought every Image comic, man. For better, for worse. But and I did for a long time too. To this day, man, it's not like I'm a big, huge Spawn fan, but I still do for that reason. I still buy Spawn, man. Just to, just that fan for life mentality. Yeah, so I was definitely a big Rob fan too, though. I found all those guys, and I know it's been said before, and it's it's a bias because nostalgia and stuff like this, but I liked all of those artists' work earlier on in their career. You know what I mean? Like as Jim Lee went on, I stopped liking his work, and it's still proficient. It's still amazing. For a lot of people, just call him the GOAT or in that style, but it's not my thing. And same with like Rob. I love Rob's art. I can see how he's challenging himself with figure work and stuff, or did to got a little bit more refined. But I like the action in his early stuff when a lot of it was wrong. It just was so visceral and exciting. And yeah, so all those guys, I was reading all those Image books, man. And I've always been a big Rob fan. Like I know people cut him down, but I'm not that guy. Like I say, there's things that pick out what you wouldn't do, but the excitement in his art is just like, I'd love to do pencils over his thumbnails. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I love his stuff too. So,
but yeah, when that Robservations podcast came out, Craig's a huge Rob dude as well. So we just started breaking down episodes and talking about certain things because he talks about his life and breaking in and hearing it for those perspectives. And he's pretty open about either saying it like it is, or he likes shitting on people who did him wrong. But so there's some really funny and really interesting, and then there's a heartfelt narrative behind it too of the struggles he was going through. So I'm not going to say anything more than Craig's already said, but yeah, so Craig also we bonded over our love of Archie. We're both huge Archie heads and loved all the different Archie artists over the years. And so we determined that, hey, what if we did an episode of Observation? I think when we first started, we're like, let's do an episode of Observation, that story. And he does the day-to-day life of Rob in an Archie style. And then when you look at the art that Rob's drawing, me doing my style, I'm not aping a Liefeld style. I'm just doing my heavily rendered style. And we thought that's a really cool dynamic, and we're pretty excited, but we're buzzing along on it. So it should be I want to say definitely out before the fall, but we wanted to say out for the summer. So, but we're getting there.
All right, cool, man. Yeah, I'm very excited to fucking hold that in my hands. I've seen like, little bits and pieces that he's shared with me. I haven't seen the stuff that you've done, but he has shared some of the pages that he's worked on. And yeah, it looks great. I'm very, very stoked to check it out.
Yeah.
What else do you have in the works though, in terms of what you're, I know what you're currently working on, the Warhammer book or the War Party book. And then you also, you do your commissions and you do cover work, but what else do you have currently?
Well, I got a skateboard design that they just last week they gave me a time they wanted, and they broke down the kind of the layout I gave them, and so I got that. I got to kind of knock out. So that's kind of gonna have to take priority sooner or later in the next. I figure it out. I try to break up my schedule so I'm not working on the same thing every night. So like I'll make sure, like if I got some commissions, that kind of goes at the top of the plate, and then I make sure there's those days, those weekend evenings is when I usually, and the weekends is when I work on my own stuff and try to finish up my book. And the good thing about me and Craig's projects is I'm mostly doing splashes of Rob characters and stuff, and so it's fun for me. I don't have to. Sequentials are fun too, but I don't have to spend a lot of time doing backgrounds and things like this, or things I don't want to draw.
Mm-hmm.
Not that or things he didn't draw, I should say. So, but yeah, so I try to break it up. As soon as I get a commission request, that kind of goes at the top, and then I kind of make sure what's the priority and what I have to put the most time into this week. And yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me is I always try to make sure I have like 4 things on the go, because it takes me sometimes a little longer to finish something when you're, rendering the idiot way that I do it. So I try to make sure there's 4 exciting things, so I'm never getting bored of the same piece until it's done. And yeah, that's pretty much how I break. The other things I'm working on right now, other than that, those are kind of just the priority things at the moment. It could change weekly, but yeah, my commission list is always open. I do a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, I could always do more, man. But I do those blank cover commissions, like these gimmicks.
Yeah.
Oh, did you get that? Did you get that Savage Dragon one?
I did. Thank you so much. Thank you. It means a lot. I love Savage Dragon. That was probably one of my favorite Image comics back then. And I still read it to this day. So when I saw that, I was like, dude, that is fucking dope as shit. Because not everybody gets the fin down right. You know what I mean? Some people draw the fin weird, and you could tell when it just looks off. But no, you killed it on that, dude, and it's
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story about that. Another local artist here, man, Riley Rosmo. You probably know that guy.
Yes.
But he didn't issue a proof with Savage Dragon in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I'm like, how did you get Eric did Eric say yes, easy, and all the rest of this? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, how'd that go? He's like, he didn't like it. He didn't like the way I drew Dragon. He didn't like the way I did the fin. I'm like, how would you do it differently now? He's like, he basically wants you to do it an upside down triangle of the build of the dragon, and then how the fin works. I'm like, that's still not, that's not right. I know what he was saying, but I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna draw it, I don't actually draw it the way Eric Larson draws the fin. I make it more coming forward, and Eric doesn't do that. So he'd probably hate my fin, but I'm glad you like it.
No, I think it's dope. And real quick, and I'm gonna ask you again at the end, but where can people go if they want to hit you up and they want a commission?
I'm Savage Brouwers on Instagram, and you can just message me. I check my messages daily, pretty much. Or you can hit me up on Facebook, man. I'm it's pretty much, I find that the easiest way. I don't have a website for that at the moment, but I might think about doing that in the future.
Besides all the stuff that you are working on, what do you see next? What are the goals with the art? Are you doing art full time now? Like that's full force?
No, I still work part-time as an electrician, but I was able to work out a deal with, so I can work part-time, and that still pays the bills and compensates. So, yeah, but I'd like to get to the point where I'm able to pay my bills with the art, but yeah, I'm not there yet, dude.
Okay. And you want to do do you have some more ideas for comics? Like are comics like what the goal is? Like you want to have some more comic books out there in print and stuff?
Yeah, dude, I started, my love relationship with art, what came through comics. I'm a comic reader nonstop. Like it's my first love, dude. So it's like,
Same.
and yeah, I'd love, like I've done certain things in in other areas, and I thought, okay, I could probably try to carve something out here, but it's not comic books, right? And so yeah, that is the goal of like get these things out and on to the next thing, and let's just try to get some traction going. But yeah, I definitely want to stake a claim and make a career in comics. That's the goal.
I want to ask too, like you draw traditionally. Craig draws digitally. So how is that working? I forgot to ask that. How is that working? Do you strictly draw traditionally? Are you drawing traditionally for this? And then you're just like scanning it in and then putting it into the book.
Yeah, I draw on the page. I do my blue lines on a page. I don't even use a light box too often or anything, but just do my blue lines, pencil over my blue lines, then I ink my pencils, erase it, and that process. I know I'm a dinosaur now, it seems, but yeah, I like having the original art when it's done. I don't know, I like working on a page. That's just preference. Like there's like Kerry Nord here, man. Was never worked digital until recently, and now his digital stuff is just amazing. So like I'd like to try it for sure, but as far as my project with Craig, I send my stuff in, I scan it into I have a colorist that I work with, or like working with now, and he digitally colors it, obviously. But yeah, that's how we're doing. Just scan it in, and we take it into Photoshop if you got to get rid of some blue lines or some blemishes or something. But that's about it.
All right, cool, man. Well, I'm excited for all the projects you got working. I'm definitely excited for the Liefeld. I'm excited for the book that you're doing by yourself. Before I let you go, I was wondering if you could kind of share some of the comic books or creators that you're currently digging. And then after that, just share where we all can find you online, social media, stuff like that. And I'll drop the links down below as well.
What I'm currently reading, or
yeah.
Well, like there's staples that I just never stopped reading. Like dude, I still read X-Men all the time. I know people like shit on you for that, but like I've never missed an issue of X-Men. But yeah, I read other stuff. I try to fill in the blanks of like I just read Charles Burns' Black Hole, right? This year. I have so many little blind spots that I just try to fill in. Like I've never read like the Hernandez Whoa Nelly, that series, and it's like I love wrestling, and I never read it till recently either. So I'm trying to fill in, like I got a comic store here that has like all the back single issues, so I'm just like piling those up and stuff like that. Also a big fan of like dude, like I'm a big huge Peanuts fan, right? So like I'm constantly trying to find stuff from the Peanuts that's not in those complete Peanuts stuff from Fantagraphics. Yeah, like they made some like weird books over the years that I'm obsessed with finding really rare Peanut stuff too from time to time. And yeah, other than that, like well, a guy in the group, Chris Anderson's working on heavy metal right now. I try to never miss heavy metal because you just get to see a bunch of weird different guys. But yeah, you guys should check that out. Chris Anderson's in it, doing some issues in it recently. Yeah, also, dude, I'm a Turtles nerd, things like that. But I try to keep, if somebody recommends something, I go track it down. Like that's how I found out about like Katie Skelly's Maids and things, things like that you just find out that's a really cool book, man. And so yeah, somebody that I respect recommends it to me, 90% chance I'm going to go pick it up.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I always like hearing Rex. I always like sharing it. That's like one of the things I love most about working at a shop is turning people on to new stuff and then hearing the reaction when they come back and tell me how much they liked it. So yeah, I think
Good. What are you reading right now?
fuck, dude, I read everything. I mean, that's the benefit of working is that I can take stuff home and then bring it back. But yeah, like I read everything. I read everything. Indie, Marvel, DC. Like Nightwing to me is like probably the best DC book. Tom Taylor's killing it. X-Men by Hickman is just fucking so good. Beta Ray Bill by Daniel Warren Johnson is dope. What else? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Excellence is one of my favorite Image series. Bitter Root is really dope. Yeah, fuck. And then all the guys in the group, like everybody, I'm constantly fucking discovering new people in the group that are producing their own comics and they're all dope, So that's one of the reasons I started doing this with the indie creators like yourself, like I want to shed a little light onto you guys and what you're doing and get people excited about your guys' work as excited as I am. And yeah, there's just so much good comics being produced now. And obviously Jim Rugg is like I discovered him over the past couple of years, and I fucking love everything he does. Ed Piskor, another one. I mean, I'm a huge hip hop head, so Hip Hop Family Tree there's a book that obviously was straight to me. You know what I mean? So like a lot of cool stuff. Red Room was dope. I mean, it's very disturbing, but at the same time, it was really like the craftsmanship is insane. So but yeah, like there's so much good stuff being produced now. I mean, there's something for everyone. When somebody says, "Oh, Marvel's bad," I disagree because I could point something for everybody that they could be like, "No, that's dope." You may not like the writing, but the art is good. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm also reading The Last Ronin right now.
oh yeah, dude, dude, that shit is so dope. And I can't stop buying the other covers too. I keep buying the fucking. I hate playing that variant game, but it's like it's so hard for me to not when they're that good. Yeah, they definitely got. I mean, the Red Room too. I got all the covers except for the store exclusives. I got one of them. I got the Third Eye one. Like the Sam Keith homage that he does. I got that cover, and then I got the Peach Momoko. I got the Jim Rugg. I'm gonna get all the Jim Rugg ones because he's doing Love and Rockets next, which is fucking so sick. Yeah, I could go on with recommendations. I read too much, and I can't stop getting more before I've finished what I've read. I have 2 short boxes of back issues that need to be read, and I just keep buying more. So it's a never-ending battle.
I'm the same way. I got stacks of like 2 read piles constantly, and it's just like you look forward to those evenings, but they seem to be most of my evenings.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. Thank you for joining me today, dude. Thanks for chatting comic books. It's been a pleasure, man. And again, if you could just share where we can find you online, and the links are going to be dropped down below.
Yeah, Savage Brouwers on Instagram, and just check me out on Facebook, David Brouwers. I really appreciate you having me on, though, dude. I really like your channel, man, and I don't miss an episode. So this is a lot.
Thank you, dude. Thank you, dude. It means a lot, man. I appreciate your support, man. And we're definitely going to do this again for sure.
Right on.